time. Barack Obama versus the end of the world. Oh my word. Do I really have to go here? Okay, here's what I've been noticing. A lot, and I mean a lot of people, are going out of their way to try to find some sort of connection between our current president and possible end of the world things. They're playing things backwards, playing songs backwards, disassembling speeches or things he says, taking what he says out of... this guy hasn't even been in office long enough for us to start complaining about him, nor has he done anything yet. Never in the history of a president that I can remember has anybody not done anything and received this much attention. And unfortunately, the only reason that it is happening is because of his race. Aren't we mature enough? Aren't we grown up enough to get over the fact that somebody is a different colored skin than us? I mean, why do we even say that's a different race? They're the same race, human. Just because somebody grew up and their pigment changed because of where they live doesn't mean they're any different from you and I. And we shouldn't discriminate, and we shouldn't treat them differently, but people do. People will find any reason to not like certain people for whatever reason. Let's say somebody with an accent from the South often gets made fun of because of that accent. Or Australians that have an Australian accent. One YouTuber I saw was an Asian Australian. They were Asian, but they had been born and raised in Australia, so they had an Australian accent. And they took a lot of flack from Australians just because they were Asian. Oh, come on. Bottom line is, I don't want to go too off into the topic of race. Or, well, like I said, I believe we're all one race. We're all just human. My point, back to the whole, looking for things that the president's doing. If we examine Bush and things that he did, I heard the same sort of things, that Bush is basically creating a society for us that will allow the end of the world to happen. I actually heard that argument given once in an offhanded way. It wasn't exactly said that way, but this person that had been studying Revelation had pieced together things that were happening in the current world environment and suggested that what Bush was doing was helping the end of the world to come. In other words, that every country hated us, America, except for Israel. And the idea was that America is not really mentioned in Revelation, and that America kind of gets absorbed with Israel. They kind of become one thing, so that when it's talking about Israel, it's also mentioning America. It was really kind of out there as a theory. Now, the end times will happen. For those of you that are Christian and wondering what my stance is on that, the end times will happen. Don't worry, it's going to happen. It's not going to be Barack Obama that does it, and I'll tell you why. Because whoever is the person that's supposed to unify the entire world is going to be loved by the entire world. Everybody's going to love this person completely. There's going to be nothing negative about them at all. They're going to be very charismatic, very overwhelmingly, wow, this person's awesome. Okay? Now, that's not Obama. It's not Barack. Okay, there's a lot of people that don't like him. I don't really like him. He was just a better choice over McCain, and you can argue with me on that point, but nobody wanted McCain, and that's, a few people did, but not enough people did. So, be that as it may, if McCain was in office, I don't think people would be going out of their way to try to find connections between McCain and the end of the world or whatever. But I'm sure there would be a lot of grumblings about, well, look at us, we're still having economic crisis and it's McCain's fault. There would still be this feeling because this economic crisis is causing people to panic. During that time of panic, people are going to use it to try to promote themselves. They're going to use it. Let's say I made a book. It's called How to Earn Money in an Economic Crisis. Chapter 1. Write a book on how to make money during an economic crisis. That's the only chapter in the book. Okay? How many people bought it? Well, 1,000 people bought it trying to figure out how to get money during economic crisis, and then they go, oh, well, it was just a scam to get me to buy the book. And that's just what it is. Look, conspiracy theory will always exist. There will always be room for some sort of conspiracy theory. And I'm not trying to defend the president. Like I said, he hasn't done enough for me to defend or to not like what he's doing. As far as I can tell, he hasn't done anything. He's released a stimulus package that not everybody likes. Some of his own party doesn't like it. Of course, Republicans don't like it. Some do, some don't. There's a lot of mixed feelings about if it's really going to help or not. I honestly think the economy is going to go kaboom anyways, and maybe it's just time to reset the system at any rate. We're going to have to make some hard choices and decisions, regardless of what the government does. And honestly, instead of looking towards the government to find somebody to blame and say, well, this is the end of the world because Barack's, he's preparing the way, or he's the bad guy, he's the whatever. Instead of trying to figure all that out, why don't we as Christians sit together and say, you know what, look, let's read the Bible together. It says, be humble. Are we being humble? Look at our houses. Most Christians are middle class or upper middle class. Is that really being humble? How many TVs do you have? How many cars do you have? And I've heard Christians tell me, well, I work hard, so I deserve it. No, the Bible says we don't deserve anything. We need to humble ourselves, and we need to give to others that need it. So if we did that, guess what? We wouldn't have this crisis. If we were all helping each other and loving each other the way we need to be, then we wouldn't be in this problem. We wouldn't have this crisis, or we'd have it, but it wouldn't be as bad because people would have hope. Go ahead, look for conspiracy theories if it makes you feel better. But I encourage you to not waste your time on that, and instead use your energy to really help people. You don't even have to be Christian to want to help people or to want to encourage others to go out and spend their time to actually help somebody in need. And it might just be your neighbor, it might be somebody that you run into that needs a couple dollars or whatever, and you can hand out gift card to, somewhere to eat or somewhere to shop or something of that nature. Okay? But, look, we've got to come together, and we've got to stop worrying about, if the president's, leading us into this or whatever. The Bible even says, support the leader of whoever's in charge and pray for them. So if you really think he's the bad guy, then yeah, pray for him, okay? And let's not worry about it, alright? This message mostly for Christians, but it could be for anybody that thinks Barack's doing stuff. And like I said, he hasn't been in office long enough for me to really acknowledge that he's done something good or acknowledge that he's done something bad. Bush was in there a couple years before we realized he was being, kind of dumb. And it took us a while to figure out that Bush was not the one we wanted at any rate, at least in my mind. Some people still like Bush, so go figure. Anyways, until next time, peace out and listen to conspiracy theories.